Hello and welcome to Addiction Recovery Revolution. I'm really pleased to introduce Dan Workman. He's got this book that is lighting up everyone's life called Black Tar Mormon. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it, Debbie.
And we kind of share a common that we both were, I was raised Mormon also. So your book, I loved the idea just because I think you kind of dispel the myth that there's any such thing as a perfection that's out there, that somehow there's no demographic. I keep saying to everyone, look, I was a Mormon mom and I drank in my closet.
Yeah.
There's no demographic that's not touched by addiction.
Absolutely does not discriminate. And that's part of why I even wrote the story. It's, the shorter version in the first place was I felt like it was a great story of contrast to show that, hey, I mean, you see these guys walking through the streets, and even I laugh sometimes, having been one of the Mormon missionaries, of just how kind of, vanilla we are. But if somebody in that position can still fall down into the depths of being suicidal and being a heroin addict and being a felon and going to jail, then it could happen to anybody. And then here in Utah, obviously, where we have that demographic, I looked at people who were going through something similar, and I thought, okay, if you're starting down that trajectory, maybe if I tell my story, and maybe as you're reading through the book and through the series of events, if you see, okay, I'm right here, and before I plummet down to here, maybe I can pull myself back out before it gets to that point. So, yeah, that was the motivation behind it.
I think we were talking before we started the interview about how you've kind of exploded. You've traveled all over the country. You're like this motivational person. You help a lot of people. But the book was really kind of like a tangible thing that you're able to show people, and they can read it, they can identify with it, and they can also see that anyone can get recovery.
Absolutely. I mean, it was, I think, doing the travel, doing public speaking and all of those things, part of it was because it was something that scared me, and I love things that scare me. And part of it, I think in recovery, for so many of us, we have to learn at some point how to forgive ourselves and to stop punishing ourselves. And so even though I had done my time in jail, or I'd done probation and all those things, I hadn't quite internalized this idea that I had somehow paid back my debt to society. So I published the book actually on exactly the 1-year date of my new, recovery, after having a slip, after having almost a year prior. That was my deadline. And so that year was kind of me paying back my debt to society, I felt like. And it wasn't that I wanted to stop doing that or whatever. It was allowing myself to sort of shrug off this burden of feeling like I had this past that I had to constantly apologize for or feel bad for. And then when I saw how things skyrocketed and how people wanted to have that voice or whatever, I wanted it to be an empowering story at the same time of somebody going, hey, if you can go in here with nothing but passion in your story and a desire to help other people, even people that can't stand me. I loved it because I thought, well, if they look at me and go, hey, if this moron can go out and do this, imagine what I could do. Great. I mean, it's all empowering, no matter what way you looked at it. That's what I wanted somebody to say is, wow, I'm inspired by this, or wow, I could just blow this guy out of the water. And I think fantastic either way, like, go do it. But
I love it because I follow you on Facebook, and I love seeing like a picture with your girls.
Yeah.
And just seeing that they're so excited, obviously, to see their dad, and then to see this book, which is wonderful. And like I remember one of the things, like we just went shopping together. This is what
yeah, that day was amazing. I'd been writing for 15 years, 20 years, and had never really made any money at it. And everything that I've made with the books has either gone back into the book, or it's gone into little like activities like that. I mean, it was a going out of business sale, so everything was 80% off, but it was still amazing just to get to go and take them shopping. And those kinds of rewards at the same time were something that I always wanted to be able to stop and enjoy, because as much as you do these types of things, or if you get involved in the recovery community where there's a constant need, and there's just it's a parade of pain sometimes. I mean, there's people coming from every angle that need something, that want something. And so that has been a new lesson that I've started on this year, has been self-care. And when I took those same two little girls of mine to the lake one day and said, hey, I'm putting my phone in the console and I'm going to turn it off completely. And they just went back and forth for like 20 minutes. Like, Dad's going to turn his phone off all day. Can you believe that? And I mean, I felt good, but I kind of felt a twinge of guilt at the same time of thinking, okay, I need to make sure I don't lose focus of what's happening right here in my own backyard while I'm
right.
So anyway.
I think what's cool too is that whenever I hear you, when you do the things that you're doing, I always say that, you know, this is the face of addiction. And I think what's wonderful is when people can bridge over to the other side and say, like, I'm not anonymous. I don't choose to be anonymous because I honestly want to break that stigmatism, and I want people to get help that they need help.
Yeah.
And that's part of it, I think, is there is such a stigmatism that goes along with addiction. So I'd love for you to share something out of your book. Show us your cover.
Oh, okay. Is it going to be backwards on there? I can't tell.
No.
All right.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, if people are interested, the signed copies are available on blacktarmormon.com. It's also on Amazon and Kindle Unlimited. I always sound terrible when I try to read out loud from my own book, but let's talk just a little bit. As we were talking about, you know, this process of going through and finding that recovery, I'll keep the language cleaned up a little bit for your video here. So, but here, as we discussed a little bit before it started, this idea that, you know, there is a stigma and that addicts have somehow this perceived lesser than, you know, image, whether it's in pop culture, whether it's in the movies, whether it's just portrayed on Facebook. We always see somebody overdosed in a car or a store or whatever. And that was how a lot of my writing took off this year, was writing articles about those people. And I try not to focus so much on, you know, addicts' lives matter or blue lives matter or black lives matter or anything. I try to internalize it, saying my life matters. And even when it didn't, even when I was losing myself through addiction, I was able to find that, and I didn't do it alone. There were people that helped me along the way, but it is so empowering to me now to know that I, you know, climbed out of that hell. And so, you know, I wrote in here, I said, don't you get it? You are a miracle. You can be a miracle for others. We are our own worst enemy and harshest critic. The war we wage is internal. The surface may seem calm while a hurricane rages inside. We hear the statistics of those dying and we must roll up our sleeves. We must go back in. Stop asking the wrong questions. We hear about addiction being a disease, and that's fine. I'm glad the Surgeon General came out and said that addiction is not a moral failure. I'm a fan of words. My only issue with the word disease is the negative connotation for anyone who interprets it as broken. Do you feel like you have more demons than others? So be it. If you ask, why me, with a whine, picked on, like you've been victimized, that devil wins. Or you can ask why you have so many demons with some fight in you. Why have you become the target of so many dark forces? Ask it with a growl and you'll know why they're after you. Because that same devil knows what a threat you are. I really hope you're starting to get the picture here. I'm not broken and neither are you. We have a different set of tools in our toolbox. You are not less than other people. I've watched recovering addicts build empires with the tools that they do have. It's all perspective. You are determined. You are stubborn. You will go to any length to get your drugs, and that makes you unstoppable. The problem isn't what's missing from your toolbox. The problem is your aim. We move through life like bulldozers. We can leave tremendous amounts of wreckage in our path. Stop playing the victim. Stop thinking that you need to be a geo instead of a bulldozer so you'll do less damage. You have a purpose. You can build instead of destroy. When the river is flooding and the banks are eroding, nobody is crying out for a geo. this epidemic is that flood. We need all the bulldozers we can get. We need you. Stop destroying. Stop trying to be small. Point yourself at something good with that same determination. Watch what happens when you grab the wheel and steer. So anyway, that's some of what you get out of this book. But
you're amazing.
Oh, thank you.
I think it's really, we're lucky that you took the time to inspire people with your book, with who you are. I think your presence online, it's constant that you've continued to try to put a face out there that it's never too late and people can do it, you know? So, I mean, your motivation, your book is amazing. Again, tell everyone how they can get in contact with you, your book.
So yeah, blacktarmormon.com. I've been signing copies for a while, and I sign them. My daughter's made little Quitters Prosper bookmarks that we're sticking in on them. We made, what else did we make? We made some stickers that we're including with the book. So yeah, $20, shipping included. That's just, those are the ones that I have sitting in my apartment, and I will sign them and ship them out to you. But it's available for less. I think $4.99 on Amazon for the ebook and $14.99 for the book that they just print and ship themselves. So, but yeah, I mean, it's been an ongoing process, and I try not to plug it too much, but I've sold about 1,000 copies now, and I've seen the reviews that have come back in and the way that it's helped people, and it's been astounding. People coming back and saying, "Oh, I've read it 5 times," or "I've read it 8 times," and I'm going, I don't know if I could sit down and read through it 8 times right now. I mean, there's other books out there. There's a new season of Orange is the New Black. What are you guys doing? Like, go find something better. Better to do with your time.
Yeah, but the thing is that you underestimate that when someone's at a low, that seeing someone else that's been at their same low and that pulled out of it is very inspiring. And all of a sudden it's kind of like just that one tangible thing that you can say, wait a minute, he did it.
Well, I certainly don't underestimate it. I mean, it's a constant walk when you get any kind of recognition. I think it's a constant walk of saying that you have power and that you have tremendous self-worth, but also keeping ego in check. You start having a lot of people say, like, you're a rock star, and that's great. Like, you can be appreciative, but if you start looking in the mirror and saying, I'm a rock star, or I'm, above or below or anything, it's not a comparison. Like, I think you keep your eyes moving upward and aimed upward and just maintain your momentum. And it doesn't matter if you're halfway up the ladder, if you just started on the first rung, you're on your way. So that's my opinion.
Well, you've done a lot of work within the recovery community. I know a lot of people are inspired by you. So thank you so much for being a part of Addiction Recovery Revolution, and good luck with continued success with your book. I know that you do a lot of different things you're involved with. So if people want to get in contact with you, you can go on and see, you're on Facebook. So
yeah, I mean, easy to find on there. The email that I'm using with the book is just blacktarmormon@gmail. There's my cell phone, 385-419-9567. Get a hold of me and I'll do what I can. I don't claim to be an expert, but I've learned a lot in the last little while, and hopefully I'm able to take some of those bad experiences and also turn it into something good.
Yeah, so, you need to take time to rest.
What's that?
You need to rest.
No, I'm working on it. I'm getting better at it. But thank you for being patient with me. I know I've been the straggler on your.
I know.
Side, so thank you.
Dan, thanks for taking the time.